Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS and the inventor of the CTKS method and BORSOG trading. If you're new, a very warm welcome, and welcome back KS family. From my 30 plus years in financial markets, I explain the smart money mindset to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love, gaining real wealth and positive excellence in the process. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto and stock markets, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. I've provided helpful links in the description of this video, such as the tax software I use, and links to the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass. Please seek out an ambassador to get 80% off, and you can also apply for the CTKS Partial Masterclass Scholarship. The link is in the description of this video. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin is currently down 0.52% to $19,004. Ethereum is down 0.21% to $13.21. There's a lot of geopolitical tension at the present moment, and as crypto technical analysts, we look at the total market, not just crypto. There are many things influencing the chart that you're trying to trade or invest in. For example, we saw a big surge in Bitcoin in the previous session that was squashed down. Bitcoin is currently trading at $19,010, and we saw in yesterday's session that the price of Bitcoin came all the way up to the structural level, the Stanfield level of 20,343, and was rejected straight back down again. What potentially caused this? Zooming in from the daily to the 1 hour, we saw Bitcoin getting over resistance, putting in a very strong rally through a very tough structural resistance level at 19,985, and then coming up and literally touching the 2343 level before collapsing back. Now, what actually drove this? It's more likely the actions of Russia. Russia is saying that it has the right to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine. Let's think about that. 7 months ago, Russia launched a special operation, an invasion of Ukraine, expecting it to be over and done with within about 3 days. 7 months later, and trillions of dollars of damage to the global economy. That's not the case. Ukraine has pushed back. And when we look at flight traffic across the Ukraine, of course it's not there. Commercial airlines don't want to get shot out of the sky. The Ukrainians have been driving the Russians out of their land. Vladimir Putin, seeing this, has literally run out of generals to fire, and he's fired so many of them during this conflict. Russian neighbors such as Finland and Sweden are seeking to get into NATO. Finland and Sweden have sought to join NATO this year in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Gaining NATO membership is a long and arduous process, and only Hungary and Turkey are yet to approve the expansion. You can see Turkey here on the map, and Hungary is here just bordering on UK and quite far away from Sweden and Finland. You may also have heard of news reports coming through on the Nord Stream pipeline. What exactly is that? The Nord Stream pipelines, there are 2 of them, carry natural gas from Russia to Germany across a collective 2,456 kilometers beneath the Baltic Sea. They're filled with natural gas. It's believed that the pipelines were deliberately sabotaged, with the possibility of earthquakes being ruled out. The Danish Prime Minister believes that these are deliberate actions. The Polish Prime Minister says probably means the next step of escalation in the situation that we are dealing with in the Ukraine. Yet, at the same time this was happening, the Afghan Taliban signed a deal with Russia for Russia oil products, gas and wheat. Add on to this fact that Russia wants to annex 15% of the Ukraine, where votes have been counted in 4 regions, And there's been reported that there's an overwhelming majority of people who want to join Russia. And what's the consequence of this? These annexures or annexation of these 4 regions, it's all about Russia saying, well, we invaded you, but if you fight back and you actually bomb any of these regions when they've become formally part of Russia, we're going to nuke you. When it comes to the referendum, Ukraine, Western leaders and the United Nations condemn the votes as an illegitimate precursor to illegal annexation. There are no independent observers and much of the pre-war population has fled. Canadian Prime Minister calls them fake referendums in total violation of the UN Charter, of its principles, of its values, and everything that United Nations stands for. These actions in Russia are causing a flight to safety and the DXY to explode. The DXY, or the Dixie, is currently trading at 114.188. We can see it's below a smart money resistance level at 114.394. Threats of nuclear warfare are actually driving the flight to safety, and this is something that we should be aware of as crypto technical analysts. If we see a surge in the dollar, we would expect resistance from the 115.504 mark to the 116.353 mark. There's a lot of air here above 114.394, which basically means there's nothing to resist the upward pressure if the dollar starts to spike. And we know what that means as crypto technical analysts. If the DXY starts to spike, the markets will start to melt down. If I overlay Bitcoin with the DXY, you can see this inversion happening. As the DXY comes up, what does Bitcoin do? It comes down. And we see this playing out time and time again. And when we look at the NASDAQ, this white line, we can see exactly the same thing happening. When the DXY is gaining strength, especially when it sparks up, the NASDAQ sparks down. If I invert the NASDAQ, you can see and zoom out, you can see that this particular inverted relationship is now playing out across the major indices as well as Bitcoin. This is why crypto technical analysts look beyond the charts that they're seeking to trade, because there's so many things that actually influence the chart in front of you. So we can see global turmoil because of Russia's actions. But it's not only Russia. There is a big polarization occurring throughout the global economy. China's economy is weakening. And we see that when we look across global markets, China's stock market is not doing very well at the present time. Also, China's Belt and Road program, $1 trillion later, is not looking too healthy either. China's facing problems internally with the collapse of its property market, and property is very, very important to the Chinese people. If we add to that tensions over Taiwan and the potential outbreak of war that would occur through the Taiwan Straits, the markets could see further destabilization. At the present time, there's no escalation. But we must be aware that this is a potential, this is a probability. Because of its actions in the Ukraine, Russia has had many sanctions passed against it. And Russian exchanges are ready to launch international crypto payments. The largest exchanges in Russia are ready to begin operating with cryptocurrencies right after the authorities legalize cross-border settlements in crypto. We're now in a much better position to understand what's happening with global markets. You can see China's economy just tanking. And this is really bad for the entire world. China is seen as the factory of the world. So far, the factory's orders are running out. This is not good for China, and it's not good for the world either. You can see, because Vladimir Putin has said that he will use nuclear weapons on Ukraine, that's absolutely crushed their local stock market. A lot of people will say, no, it's just central banks and it's the Fed raising interest rates, but nothing is ever so simple. Geopolitical conflict is really important to understand. One of the problems that we will face if we go much further down from where we're at, we could get a very, very negative sentiment entering the market, much more negative than what is currently there, and it's pretty negative already. There would be a lot of people buying the dip here, and this dip could keep on dipping, especially with geopolitical tension at all-time highs. That's why you need to BORSOG with care. There were so many opportunities yesterday. I hope you managed to get some out. In the comments yesterday, there were a lot of people saying they expected some sort of GFC type sell-off. One way to participate in sell-offs is not to participate in sell-offs. Hang on a second, you say, Ken, what are you talking about? How do you not participate in a sell-off? You do what smart money does. You go to cash. Of course, it needs to be your choice, but if you think back to, for example, the Great Depression, if you were actually fully invested at the top of the Great Depression, or even when it was coming down, and you stayed invested, many people lost everything. But if people went to cash, instead of participating in the market just at that point of time, they could have bought some incredible dips. There's always enormous rallies within negative price action. Price is always moving in a wave, and there were many profitable opportunities in yesterday's trading, but you had to be fast and you have to have the knowledge. And that is a knowledge of trading, how to get in and out of the market. In yesterday's video, we talked about signals like this indicating that we were pretty much close to a bottom, but not always. In the GFC, it kept on selling down, so you just got to be aware of these factors. Be fast. Look for rapid signals, get in and then get out. We're still in a midterm election year, and we know that September and October are notorious. They have the September effect and the October effect, which means that prices generally are negatively biased. But in midterm election years, we tend to get a rally throughout the remaining parts of the year into December and November, of course. In 36 days, the FOMC will meet again to do its rate increase, and there's currently a 53.5% probability that we'll get another 75 basis point increase. We can see the Fed has been good to its word. It's kept on reducing its balance sheet. M1, M2 money stock hasn't been updated yet, and the annual inflation rate is coming down. When people first start trading and investing, they want simple answers to one of the world's most complex markets. You'll not get simple answers. You can only stack probabilities. And one probability that is really, really good to see is the federal funds rate prediction in April 2023. It's actually dropped from about 4.8% down to 4.5% just in the last couple of days. And this is a really good thing. We want this to come down. When the predicted federal funds rate spikes up, what do we see with the NASDAQ and with Bitcoin? It sells off. We don't want this thing to keep on spiking. We can also see there's been a little bit of negative momentum in terms of the government yields across the 2-year, the 5-year, the 20-year, the 10-year, and the 30-year. They're not continuing to go exponentially up. This has caused a bit of a relief in the NASDAQ, but we saw Bitcoin sell down a little. But Bitcoin has been doing some very nice basing action recently. Always bear in mind the directional correlation between forward inflation rates and the markets. When the markets fall off a cliff, of course inflation goes down because it's demand destruction. Because of the Fed and central banks raising interest rates and also geopolitical tension, it's no wonder that fear is increasing inside the market. Just make note of this. Fear is ratcheting itself up. A ratchet means that it goes up and has trouble coming down. We can see the NASDAQ 100 is clearly below a resistance level, and we can see bond prices selling down, bond yields coming up. Gold starting to do a little bit of basing action in response to the dollar wobbling around a little bit yesterday. Price is always moving in a wave. It doesn't go straight down and it doesn't go straight up. And we can see oil has cut below its support level. It's currently under resistance. And when we look at junk bonds, which is a really good indicator if the markets are going up or down, it's looking really unhealthy. It's really critical to get your synchronization in with the market. That's why we do a BORSOG code. And this comes from rule 621, buy on red, sell on green. Of course, not all reds are created equal. And you control your trade or investment, but the market controls the return. So understanding and getting in sync with what the market could be doing and taking your education really, really seriously, the market will reward you. And gaining emotional control is one of the most important things that you can ever do inside the financial markets, or you will just buy and sell at the wrong times because your actions will be fear-based, not probability-based. What we can see, Bitcoin currently trading at $19,074. It's using this SL at 18,950, which is pretty much the Armageddon line as well as support. It's been fluctuating between this $20,000 level, which is a structural level, and the lower, heavier structural level of 18,310. It's just oscillating between these at the moment. We would expect a big move in either direction. Gaining an understanding of the shorts and the longs can also be really, really useful. We can see the shorts got liquidated, causing a short squeeze. Now the shorts have come back into the market and started to ramp up as well, but the longs are also buying the dip. Over the past 24 hours, there's been 156.02 million in liquidations across 51,168 positions. And when we look at the past 24 hours, total liquidations 56% long. What about the past 12 hours? About 83% long. The past 4 hours starting to turn the other way, around 51% short. And the last hour, 98% short. The shorts are starting to get hit again after hitting the longs substantially, and we can see a bit of a change in trend in here. This is why you have to be aware of what's going on inside the global economic system, but you also have to have the power, I guess, to just look at a chart and say, okay, well, this doesn't look too bad. But global health will give you an idea as to what your position sizing should be. Global crypto market cap decreased 0.15% in the last 24 hours, down to 933.49 billion. The greatest gainers over the past 24 hours, Quant up nearly 12%, Reserve Rights a little over 10%, Steppen nearly 10% up, Uni a little over 9%, Neo up nearly 7%, and Maker up nearly 4%. The greatest losers in the past 24 hours, Lunacy nearly down 10%, XRP nearly 4% down, Algo 3.61% down, Atom nearly 3% down, as is Kronos, and BSV nearly 2.5% down. Looking at the crypto news, Spanish telecom giant partners with Qualcomm to develop joint Metaverse initiatives. Telefonica is one of the largest telecoms carriers in Spain, and it's seeking to bring Metaverse experiences to its customers. There's going to be network effects in this, and hopefully the Metaverse will start to see some repair price-wise. And if you're thinking about trading Nexo, maybe just think again. More than half a dozen US securities regulators file actions against crypto lender Nexo. And these multiple state securities regulators are saying that Nexo's Earn Interest product, EIP, may be in violation of securities laws. And if you're thinking about getting into Matic, it may be an interesting idea. Robinhood debuts Web3 crypto wallet to 10,000 customers. Beta version supports Polygon, which is Matic. Southeast Asia's largest bank, DBS, launches self-directed crypto trading amid institutional demand. DBS is the largest bank in Southeast Asia. It's launched self-directed cryptocurrency trading via its app. One thing to remember, when very large banks, very large multi-billion-dollar organizations get involved with crypto, they'll force their competitors to do the same. And it's interesting to note that DBS currently supports the trading of 4 cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ether, and XRP. DBS is stating that it's an estimated 100,000 investors in Singapore that meet its criteria of eligibility. The bank is opening up access to crypto to sophisticated investors. That means really wealthy individuals. And DBS also recently entered into the metaverse by partnering with the Sandbox. And the CEO of DBS Bank Group said that crypto is like an alternative to gold. In other news, FTX wins auction for bankrupt crypto broker Voyager Digital Assets. Sam paid $1.42 billion to acquire all of Voyager's cryptocurrency and assets, and that was worth $1.3 billion at current market prices. And FTX has been aggressively acquiring distressed assets during the crypto downturn. And if you're interested in the metaverse, we're getting a lot of positive news. Retail giant Walmart enters the metaverse with Walmart Land and Universe of Play on Roblox. And Roblox, the metaverse gaming platform, has 52.2 million daily active users and 11.3 billion engagement hours. Roblox looks actually really good. It talks about persistently branded worlds. It's got a lot of very fascinating things. I recommend you go and check it out. And some more news in the metaverse. South African financial services giant Nedbank secures a village in the metaverse. In other news, Bitcoin Lightning Network DApp Strike aims to take Visa and MasterCard out of business. It's announced an $80 million fundraising to help expand its payments technology to larger institutions. It's seeking to disrupt the payment space. So what did MasterCard do? It just partnered with Binance. As crypto technical analysts, we understand Rule 45, no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. We also understand that Bitcoin cannot escape the stock market's gravity. So we look at a lot of things before we do our buy or sell levels. And this is exactly what smart money does. It's very cautious when it comes to buying and selling. And one thing to keep an eye out on is Bitcoin's gravity, this blue line. When we look at the top projects, Ethereum was weaker than Bitcoin in terms of gravitational pull. You can see a very different kind of a thing happening with Binance Coin, BNB. It was pulled up when Bitcoin surged. ADA, not so much. XRP, not so much, because it rallied very heavily before. XRP is getting pulled back into alignment with Bitcoin's gravity, and we see this time and time again. You can see the relative strength of Solana just being pulled up massively with Bitcoin, and of course come down massively with Bitcoin as well. Doge, not to the same degree, quite a bit of weakness in there. Same for Matic, and DOT was a little bit stronger. DOT and ADA have been very weak over the past, for example, 3 months. And one thing that we always observe, the weak become strong and the strong become weak. We've seen quite a bit of news on the Metaverse token, so why don't we actually look at that through CoinMarketCap? What we can see when we click the Metaverse tab is the greatest gainers, 24 hours, Hero up 6.61%. Just be aware of how far outside the top 100 these particular cryptos are. As you go further and further outside the top 100, top 200, top 300, it gets more and more risky. But it can get more and more profitable, but you have to manage your risk and your return. And going the other way, greatest losers over the past 24 hours, we don't see a lot of really big losses here. And looking at the top metaverse plays, we can see the top names have been going through a bit of a drawdown, but not much. Returning to the analysis we did yesterday, I put forward a couple of different scenarios on where price could potentially go. I said potentially we could get a positive action up, and there were a variety of different levels here, depending on how big a spike we got. And of course, there were dependencies on lower prices as well. We always cover off the for and against and nowhere concepts, and we do the against one first. And there was a lot of negative news yesterday, but what did we see in the market? Basically, the price was down here when I drew these up, and we saw the price absolutely take off parabolically up to the 20,343 level for Bitcoin. And of course, this played out on all the alts. No alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. And we were talking about if the DXY starts to decline, we could see a pump up. And we also saw that we were getting above specific resistance levels. That gave us a case to think that positive action could occur, even though the media said it was all over in the markets. This is why trading can be so incredibly profitable. If you just look at the percentage returns, and you need to get in and get out also. And you get out when things are not looking on your side, when things turn against you, such as the dollar starting to rally. And this is the exact reason why crypto technical analysts mark up their charts with the CTKS method. They need to understand long-term structure and short-term structure and the interplay of support and resistance. And the CTKS method is a method that I invented to help people understand the volatility within the crypto market, because it's the most volatile asset on the planet. And of course, what we saw earlier is that we look through the world events, checking probabilities, seeing what's actually happening. We don't want to get caught off guard by something we're not looking at. But we always maintain a neutral outlook on whatever we're looking at. We're not taking sides on anything. We're just looking and seeing what is the case. That's why it's also really important not to get too caught up with mainstream narratives. If you see a trend change starting to occur, you can do something about it. And always be cautious with what you do as well. You can just synchronize in and then scale when you feel more and more confident. And then when things go out of synchronization, you descale. That's why doing your BORSOG code each and every day will be rewarded by the market, because you're taking the time to understand how the market works, and the market likes that. And well done to all our global family members who put your BORSOG code in. It's very, very important. I can't stress it enough. And thank you, Crypto Turtle, for your kind generosity. Always keep in your mind, the market doesn't know you, but it knows your skill level, and it will reward you based on your skill, but also based on your emotional control. Many people let their emotions control their trading, investing, and life decisions. This is a really, really bad idea. When emotions take people over, actually what's happening is fear is taking people over. All the components of positive excellence are meant to drive fear out of your life and drive happiness into your life. You can literally have one car in the garage at a time. You can have fear or happiness. I suggest you evict the car of fear from your garage and open it up to happiness. Hey, why not? When fear is the CEO of a person's life, positive excellence has no position. Instead, negative excellence will dominate. Negative excellence is literally the opposite to every single word you see in this particular area. Instead, when positive excellence is in charge, is your CEO of your thought processes, what happens is success will naturally follow, as will good friendships, happiness, sustainable fulfillment, and meaning. That sounds pretty good. Our primal minds want to install the fear dictator in our brains. Everything is a threat. You're always under fire. That's what fear does to people. But when we have positive excellence, making the decisions in our life, we use integrity and decency and kindness. We use these things because it's intelligent to do. Because we want to guard our inner peace and outer peace. Why do we want to do that? Why don't we go into conflict with everybody else? Because that's what fear would want us to do. We do not listen to fear, we banish fear. I think in today's comments we should talk about fear. When fear is the CEO of a person's life, what does that person's life look like? Please let me know your thoughts. There are so many fantastic shares from our beloved global family. And if you're new, a very warm welcome. If you have friends or family who could benefit from positive excellence and what we do each and every day, Please introduce them to our community by sharing a video. We'd love to see them here. We have one of the best communities on YouTube. And thank you very much to our moderators for keeping our community safe from scammers. And please note, I don't have WhatsApp or Telegram. And many thanks to the CTKS ambassadors for assisting Masterclass students. And of course, a very big thank you to you for watching and for being part of our global KS family. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto market, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. I've left helpful links in the description of this video, such as the tax software I use, and links to the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass. Please seek out a CTKS ambassador to get 80% off. And you can also apply for the partial scholarship. The links are in the description. Please remember, crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there, my friends. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.